Welcome to MeDeMAP, Mapping Media for Future Democracies. Join us on a journey across Europe. Meet specialists and researchers from various fields, unravel the democratic functions of media, and discuss its impact on the essence of democracy. MeDeMAP.
Hello everyone, welcome to MeDeMAP podcast to whoever watches it and listen to it. I'm really grateful to have here the Community Media Institute in Vienna, and namely Helmut Peissl, the managing director of Commit. So welcome, Helmut. And with you particularly, with all your expertise, we'd like to talk a lot about community media. Start with the case study, with your case study. So you played an instrumental role in establishing Agora, this first Austria bilingual community radio station. So non-commercial, which is important. Could you share with us, please, what mission have you envisioned in Agora? And
thank you for having me here. And the story of Agora, of course, it's a long story because it was only the start of the station. Was a big success, but it had a long story, or a long way until this stage. Agora is a bilingual radio, which exists now since 25 years in the southern region of Austria in Carinthia. And there is the southern part of Carinthia, which is a bilingual region, Slovene and German speaking as official languages. So Slovenian is one of the recognized national minority languages. And we have witnessed a long period of very nationalist media who have been always very, let's say, against the Slovene minority. It has to do with, of course, with the story of Yugoslavia and all, but it was a very strange tendency there, and it was also the same tendency which even could be seen across all the political spectrum, even. Not on the really left side, but even Social Democrats long time had been also very rather minority hostile. And we have been in this time living there, and our friends from the minority always ask us for support. So we had some activities always to fighting for bilingual schools, for example. Then there was a huge fight for bilingual topographic science. And then there was a period when there was a right extreme party leader, Mr. Haider, was becoming the governor of this land, of this country. And so that was the initial moment to start a pirate, but it was not pirate because we started from Italy, where it was legal, a radio. Mm-hmm. It was a more activist to set a sign of bilingualism in a time where it was clear that the country is being governed by a right extreme politician for the next year. So that was the starting point. This was in 1989. And when we saw, we don't have a chance to have it legally in Austria, we tried it with a formal procedure. We went to the Human Rights Court in Strasbourg and brought there a plaint against the Austrian broadcasting monopoly. And this lasted 4 years until 1993, when there was the judgment against the monopoly, and then formally the monopoly in Austria was abolished. It was the last in Europe, in Western Europe. And but the Radio Agora finally started even only 4 years later, because for the procedures to formulate and vote a law and all that, and that did first reduced law, and finally in 1997 there was a law which really opened completely the airwaves on FM for radios, and there were I think about 60 licenses distributed. And of course, there were a lot of more applications, but it was clear that Agora will be among them. And it was Agora and 4 other community radios also, already at this first stage. And so the mission for Agora was to bring in a voice in the media landscape, which is for dialogue, which is for having an equal level of both languages in the program, and making it as a normality, to talk in your mother language or in the language of your neighbor.
After these years, how do you see the impact? Do you see the impact that it?
There is an impact, but because now, well, there has been a long story, different stages and all that, but it's now a recognized media there. And it's a cooperation with the public service now also, so who is producing part of the program. And there is an independent redactional team, and it has grown very from the coverage area. So it's really now covering the whole area where you have Slovene language speaking people. So it's also covering partly in Styria, which is a neighboring region, not only Carinthia. And it's very well established. It's working well. They are cooperating with our neighbors also from Slovenia, from Radio Student, for example. And they are a recognized voice. And let's say you have a redactional team. I think it's about 5 or 6 journalists who are working there. They are doing it as a paid job. And then you have in the evenings mainly volunteer people who are just running their shows like in all the other community radios.
You observe a lot of different approaches across the countries to community media. What makes, in your opinion, Austrian approach to community media specific?
Well, we struggled a very long time for a formal recognition of a 3-fold media sector in the broadcasting. So public service, private commercial, and non-commercial, mainly association-based. This still is not formally realized in a legal way. It's only, but it was, and it was a success in 2009, that there is a differentiation in the supporting regime. Because there are funding funds for commercial radio and TV, and a separate for non-commercial radio and TV, which is community broadcasting. And I think to have this separate funds was for us really, really very, very important, because before it was always, of course, everybody understood this is a different sector, but it was not formalized in a way. And we had always to struggle for survival, and it was a provisional funding in the beginning years, and then it was cut completely. So I think that the funding structures have been important, and also that there is a own specific umbrella organization which is completely separate from the commercials, and they would not like have members from our side in there, because it would be a chaos. They have completely other interests. So that is really important, and we learned a lot, I think, from some German regions or countries where you have also this very separated structure, but also from Ireland, where we really regulate the states. There are 3 different areas of broadcasting. So I think that's the main issue, that you have to struggle for a recognition as a separate sector, because the interests, the aims, the functions are so different. So that's I think that's the core issue.
And actually in MeDeMAP we paid in all the research we paid a lot of attention to community media, and also and appreciate their value, and also the really concrete example that you gave about Slovenian and the German language in Carinthia. But anyway, despite it, community media still had a lot of hardships, and on the level of recognition and the funding. What are the tackling way of this issue in Austria? How do you see community media is trying to figure out these problems of recognition?
Well, we are in a way in permanent discussion with the regulator, of course, also with responsible politicians from the department, the government department, and it's an ongoing process. So I think, and that which might be something where there should be even done more, is you have to speak up. You have always to show up and to be there, present in discussions, and to be active, and to claim also we are doing also journalism. Yeah, so we have each year we have, for example, such a kind of future atelier. The last time we had it in June here, it was especially on the question what means journalism in community media. Yeah? Because many programs, or even most programs, are realized by non-professional citizens, yeah, they're not non-professional journalists, but they are doing journalistic work, and they all agree to a charter, the Community Radio Charter, which is even more strict than the press codex. Yeah. Meanwhile, also all stations in Austria, they are members of the Press Council, which is normally only for print, but we are the first part who are also members from the broadcasting. Something the commercial broadcasters are refusing completely, because another control, we don't want it. No, from our side there is really a voluntary connect there. And I think that are important steps. But you have also to create from time to time new references to say in regard of specific aspects. You have to show your specific contribution. For example, when it comes to media literacy, when it comes to transparency, or when it comes to giving citizens a voice. And here, for example, it was very important to work with open-minded parliamentarians at the European Parliament, where we got voted in 2008 document. Was a special report on community media and also resolution. And for the other side was the Council of Europe, because many countries which are not even now a member of the European Union, they are very interested in following the discussion, and we had the chance there also to develop policy papers and do some of the research, which is really welcomed there, because the Council of Europe especially is dealing with media policy always having in mind human rights. Yeah? Many people in the field of media, when they're doing it in a commercial way of thinking, then they don't think about human rights, they think about business. Yeah? And that's really the big difference. Yeah, also.
Did you have a chance to hear the opinion on professional journalistic community on standards of journalists from community sector?
From whom?
From professional journalism, did you notice this dynamics between them?
I think there are a few connections. Yeah, of course there is exchange when you meet at the event but there are a few really close connections. And to give an example, a very active journalist from Community TV in Linz. He is at the same time General Secretary of Reporters Without Frontiers in Austria. So there is a close connection, because all the others in the team there are professional paid journalists, and he is there for coordinating it. So that I don't think that's the huge problem. But of course, the problems we meet, as a non-commercial journalist who is not paid or hardly paid, there are different problems than for journalists who are really having a living from this activity. Of course, I think that's the different debate. But when we talk about standards, when we talk about research and all that, I think there is, of course, another focus, because it's more about a participatory approach. We don't have days or weeks to do a research for a show. That's not possible if you're doing it on a voluntary basis. But it's the focus in bringing in much more voices, for example. And that's, for example, an aspect in professional journalism. There is a lack of such an approach, and that is respected in a way. So we have an exchange, but it could be more often. That really I would appreciate.
What main policy changes could be done in favor to support better representation of marginalized groups, of groups that require this kind of media? What do you think? What are the main changes that could be done?
Well, I think it's a lot about obligatory rules, diversity rules for newsrooms and for teams, for journalistic teams, but not only on the journalistic level, also on the decision-making management level. I think that could already bring some change, but there is always the fear that the structure is taking over the momentum. For example, we have the leader or the chair of the minority reduction team of public service radio and TV in Austria. She's a black woman, woman of color, great. But I fear that the structural rules are so hard that it's not easy to change anything. You have to have more people, and then maybe it gets a momentum. So we had discussed it today also. Maybe it's really also a question of quota sometimes.
So we have a lot to have Laurence Monnot with us here today, the researcher and former journalist who also works for Commit Institute and actively involved in the work on citizen parliaments, which is really important part of MeDeMAP project, where we actually put into practice things we actively discuss. So welcome, Laurence, and would like to ask you to join to the conversation on how can you conceptualize the benefits of such practices as citizen parliament? How can they help to establish to obtain our goals actually as a MeDeMAP project?
Okay, that's a big question. So we had 4 citizens' parliaments organized in Austria, in the Czech Republic, in Slovenia, and in Ireland. In each of them, 20 participants, 20 citizens' parliaments members gathered for 4 Saturdays, and they deliberated on the role of the media, and they also made proposals for a better media policy. Well, what it brings? Well, first, for the MeDeMAP project, it is involving citizens in the research. This is participatory action research. And it means that there is an enrichment, of course, in the data provided. You don't have only focus groups and experts interview, but you have the results of citizens collectively reflecting on media and developing their own solutions. So this is the first benefit for the project, but of course it has many more benefits because it is a socio-political experiment. It's not only a research project. From a perspective of participatory democracy, citizens take part in policy making or contributing to to the debate on media. And of course, with the hope that, well, at least they enjoy as citizens to contributing to this debate. And we know that because we had very positive feedback and the citizens said after the end of the process that either they would like to take part in another citizens parliament, or they would like to be more involved in the district policy, or they have changed their way to seeing the media. So they had this kind of achievement feeling. On another way, it contributes also to socio-political integration because in each of our 4 panels in the 4 countries, we had very, very diverse panels of people who were chosen after a call, where we had, in Austria, we had over 140 candidacy. And we chose a panel so that it was representative of the Austrian population in its diversity. We had people from 19 to 81 with very diverse backgrounds coming from different regions, and also with different political view and view on the media. So this was important. What it brings to them, the citizen, they certainly learned a lot. Not only because they had the opportunity first to listen to experts and to discuss with them, but also talking together, exchanging ideas to enrich their own view. And this was very important to them. And they, in the course of developing proposals, they also train, in a way, their socio-politic or their democratic skills, like they practice listening to others, exchanging ideas, advocating their ideas, and negotiating also proposals. It has an impact on their own lives, and of course, afterwards, I mean, it has a direct impact on what they are going to do and the way they are going to act as citizens.
But, well, so as you had an opportunity to observe and to participate and to look at this dynamic of people making decisions and making resolutions, what surprising, maybe like some kind of like genuine insight that you gain yourself? What could you like bring as a food for thought to this podcast? What do you think?
Yeah, I was impressed by the positive energy that developed, and by the solidarity and the feeling of collective consent. After the second, or at least the third session, they were not thinking in terms of, okay, what is it that would be good for me or from... They were just trying collectively to find solutions or proposals that make sense on media policy.
I forgot what I wanted to ask. So we also, citizen parliaments also aimed to be brought to stakeholders. Yeah. So how do you see the opportunity for these resolutions to be heard? Do you see this as possibility for some realistic possibility for the project?
Well, I think we should not be naive that it's really realistic that a lot of these recommendations and resolutions will be put in policy or voted. But there are a lot of elements which are supporting demands which are coming also from other directions. So when we have been discussing, well, the presentation was a big success. So there was really big interest from other citizens, from NGOs, and there was the 3 departments were present to discuss with us, and there was a public service. And of course, there was no promise that anything would change tomorrow. But they entered into the debate. That already is a point. The other is that when we discussed, we're now doing also kind of separate meetings with people from different parties in the parliament. And when we discussed, for example, the first time, it was the responsible for media policy from the Social Democrat Party. The same day, it was the agency for control on the state level, came up with a critical report on media funding. And there was a lot of points which were just overlapping, which was what citizens were saying, And so this is really a supporting thing, and we know that research, is criticizing aspects of media policy since many, many, many years. It's never hurt. Even there is evidence that should change to bring more quality and better situation for the media situation. It's neglected by the politicians. So how could we, with 20 citizens in one moment change everything? That's the reality. That's the political reality. But I think it's an important element. It's an element more, and the citizens also, I think they learn that they have to insist if there should be a change in any way, in any field. And I think that's also a really great outcome. And just I want to add for the positive things are we learned, also not only that the citizens were very, very committed, and at the end they asked, how do we go on now? It was really the question in the room. But also we realized how few knowledge about the structures of the media system and which economic interests, the procedures and all is in the society. Because these were people who were interested in media and media policy and talking about. But the inputs from the experts was so important, and they would have liked to talk to them for hours. So
That was actually my question to ask. What did you personally or professionally learn from having this chance to observe this all? If you would like to add something on this, what did you learn?
I learned from the moderation technique. We discovered the art of hosting, which is an approach to foster participatory action research, and the main principles are everybody has its say. So there is a moderator making sure that everybody feels comfortable to express whatever he thinks, and that the discussions are courteous, everybody is respectful with the others, and that a discussion emerges that is constructive, and that the ideas are linked, and this is a formidable method.
It's confirmed. We had in commit, we had some experience with art of hosting for other settings, and I know it's a joyful method, but also very productive. And I think that was also the fit, in both sides, because it was joyful, even if there was a critical debate and with different positions, still it went always very well. And there is always the aim that there is a result in a way, There is some earning moment, they say, no? And of course, a joyful setting, yeah, that is recognizing the people who are working there and honoring their work. I think that's important. So that's the one, and I think the other is that this form of discussion and of treating a topic very in depth and with reflection around and all that, I learned that this could be also applied to other topical fields as a form of learning in adult education. So that's my inspiration for the future.
Yeah. Thank you very much for your work, for your time, and thank you for people, to those of you who listen or who watch us. Thank you very much. Thank you for being with us, and bye bye.